I take one, Temple of Allah. Me and my man Dave have been having conversations. It's Justin McMillan. Right now I'm going by Turk Mayat, Turk Nashkabandi, whatever pretentious shit I can make up at the moment.
I'm still working on my shit. I don't know what we're doing, but yeah.
Introduce yourself, David.
Yeah, David. Dave works. Real simple. Yeah, from Jersey, Cliffwood to be exact. And just a person in the world,
Yeah.
Noticing things.
Yes. So we've been having conversations every, probably once a month, and we decided to record this. So wherever you are in the universe, aliens could get this. Somebody in Peru could get this. Somebody in China could get this. No, we have no goals. We have no goals to be too underground where niggas like, yeah, you gotta go to fucking the mountains of Machu Picchu and type in a code to get this. Or, you know what I mean? If BET offered us $1 million a month to do this, I'm taking it. I'm selling out as quick as I can. So don't expect nothing from me or that nigga, you know what I mean? There's no we in.
Yeah.
I'm not the same as you. I'm on my own path, doing my own thing, got my own knowledge. Now, Dave, is there any topic you would like to speak on first?
I don't know. There's probably should have came to this one list, to be honest. But
All right, so first of all, we're going to get into simple concepts of Kabbalah, right?
yeah, that sounds. Hold on.
So if you were to get the tree of life, if you listen to me at any point, I don't care if it's in a mall or a bagel shop or in a church, you should have the tree of life with you, just to reference the words that I'm using. So when I use a word like wisdom, for example, I'm considering that as a position on the tree of life. Now, wisdom, for example, goes by the name Hokmah, right? I was told by various people that I pronounced it wrong, and it's Hokmah.
You gotta use that.
Yeah. So Hokmah represents wisdom, right? And that's the second Sephirah, right? So the Sephirah is basically what, in my consideration, just to simplify it, what the Abrahamic religions are based on. The tree of life basically is a diagram to get you through some of these holy texts, right? Like the Zohar, the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Talmud, the Quran, you know what I mean? So when you read something like Proverbs and they talk about with wisdom, I have some of those quotes written down, but not on me right now, but you can reference Proverbs around chapter 8. And, it says a whole bunch of affirmations, right? So a lot of times in our mind, we have too much chatter. We're going around, just explaining things and trying so hard to be everything in our conscious mind, not recognizing that we have our own subconscious mind, in which actually does the processing. You're really just a controller of everything. Your job is to really give directions, not to be this, this and that and that, you know someone who's talking and they might have good intentions, but it's a lot of hot air. They may lack discipline. They may not be too reflective and meditative in their lives, so they may come from a good place, but it's not something that's easily transferable to other people, something that can be studied,
Yeah. It's not coherent.
Yeah, not coherent enough to really mean something to someone else. And lately, I've been looking into my own thoughts, and I'm like, okay, I'm saying all of this shit. What is the point?
Right. The meaning.
Yeah, like, what am I trying to get at? What is the goal of me figuring this out? And the goal, to me, as I see it now, is understanding. Now, if you look on the tree of life, understanding balances wisdom. That's the feminine side of the tree. That's the first, it's the third Sephirah, Bina, which if you're into other things, you could relate it to Sophia, maybe. Well, Sophia's wisdom, but that's kind of how spirituality is, where you'll have a female deity on a maybe masculine, represents masculine, or you'll have a man deity actually would represent a female, feminine deity. So you have to get out of this human concepts of gender and all of that. You got to throw that away. All of this pertains to you and your own body and how you understand the world. So back to what I was saying, trying to reach a point of understanding. Now, there's a saying, what's understood doesn't have to be said. And what I mean by that is, once you understand something, it is completely silent, and you gotta let it go and trust that you know it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to wear a badge on your arm. You don't gotta wear a dashiki to let people know that you're Pan-African. You know what I mean? You don't gotta wear a speed flex to let people know you the shit on the football field, man. You can wear a normal visor. You can wear that shut. Yeah, come in with that shut, that Eli Manning, and start. You know what I mean? And that's really the thing. So now, understanding, what comes after understanding? Love, which is masculine. People want to be loving. They say, oh, I'm in my feminine essence because I'm just so loving and kind. Well, that is masculine. That's on the right side of the tree. Love. And love, I'm going to introduce this word now. I'm not going to get into it, though. It's in the Berea, the word of Berea, which is the third world, which is, above that is absolute, right?
The world is important, too, because that's the different interpretations of the experience. Like, there's different levels of, like, even when you're reading a book, there's, like, the sages, like Kabbalists, they'll say there's like four different ways you can even read it. Like there's multiple meanings, and I think most people are stuck in the literal of it. So I think the four worlds is an interesting thing to talk about maybe after we go into the body of the Kabbalah.
Yeah, so let's get into the four worlds now, because that's where the conversation is definitely headed, because this is something I neglected at first with Kabbalah, but I think because me understanding just the one tree and the aspects of that allowed me to then expand my mind into the four worlds. But let's get into the four worlds now. Should we start from the bottom or the top? You know what I mean? Now,
maybe the bottom.
Bottom up?
Yeah.
So bottom up, you could think of Malkuth, right? Malkuth, that's earth, right? Malkuth, as I see it, is a seer by itself. Now, some Moors might say that's what Elijah Muhammad meant by the Asiatic black man, or Noble Drali, is that actually, black man kind of rules over the entire earth. The whole world was Asia at one point. But it's pronounced Asiya, so if that gives you light, go ahead with it. But I grew out of that a little bit. So Asiya is earth. That is everything you can taste, everything you can touch, everything you can see. Yes, matter, right? So Phil Valentine says that you only have one true sense, and that's touch. So you can think of it like you see something, your eyes is touching the light and you're receiving it, right? So your body's the grand receiver. That's your physical body receiving the light from God, right? So if you look at the Kabbalah, we can move up a little bit, right? We go into Yetzirah, right? And one of the most important books on Kabbalah is the Sefer Yetzirah. And I recommend the Eric Kaplan translation of it, where he goes into detail each literal word of the Sefer Yetzirah. Something that you wouldn't know if you were uninitiated and you had no idea that these words could be interpreted like this. So, after Malkuth, after all of your senses, we get into astral world. I consider the astral world to still be somewhat physical. You can think of it of a mental plane, right? So, we got the Sephirah formation. Yesod. Oh, goodness. That represents the moon. Malkuth is earth. Yesod represents the moon, right? So the moon to us humans balances the sun, in a a sense. Right, so it receives all the light from the sun at night and it shines on us. And you could think of that as like fertility, the hidden aspect of yourself, that first step into a spiritual sense. And you could think of that as the second chakra, the sacral chakra, right? And then above that, to your left, you go left on the left side, you got Ha, which is the feminine aspect, the intellect, right? So a lot of spiritual people are in the intellect. Ironically, the Israelites you see on the streets that everybody's like trying to figure out and trying to, be smarter than the Israelites on the street, the Pan-Africanist who's read all these history books and can't really put it together. You could think of someone in Congress perhaps, you know what I mean? NAACP, intellect, trying to think yourself out of this maze of white supremacy in a sense, right?
Yes.
And a lot of men are actually practicing that, and that's as far as they go spiritually. And then we can look to the right, and we actually have intuition, which is what most people think of love. You know what I mean? The actual fucking, right? You know what I mean? You know when to do this, you know when to do that, you know what I mean? You ask, you be like, you're polite, figuring things out, intuitively, not, oh, we must do this because the Africans did this, and, no, fuck that, call her a bitch if you want, she call you Big Daddy, whatever type of shit you like, you know what I mean? You might, let's not get into that. But you can also think of this as happiness. Happiness falls into this category. Simple happiness, victory, winning, actually winning. Now, hard on the left side, that's splendor. That's like after you win big at the casino, how you going to spend your money? How you going to section this out? How you going to pay rent? How you going to buy them shoes you like? You know what I mean? So that's figuring out after the victory, right? And then you could think of, right? So that's Yetzirah, right? You could think of it as right above the physical world. Now, for most spiritual people, actually for everybody on the earth, this is as far as they're going to go. Really, of actually having a concrete conception of what's going on. Now, Berea, as mentioned by Tom Yov Glasser, a rabbi who he be in Lakewood, New Jersey, Brooklyn, New York, Israel. Don't know if I should have said that, but if you're into this, you go where you go. Yeah, you get it where you get it. Because you'll be figuring out that war for the rest of your life, trying to intellectualize it, and you're on Malkuth basically for your entire life. That's as far as you're going to go, trying to make sense of this human shit, you know what I mean?
Material existence.
Yeah, this material existence. So, even he, I had an understanding of Bobby Hemming and what he talks about through watching him talk about the Jewish people, because I watched a lot of his videos, and then one day he's like, yeah, that's why we're so good at making films, the Jewish people, because we're special kind of sense, trying to uplift his people.
Yeah.
So you could think of it like that when you listen to Bobby Hemming. Don't get mad that he's talking about melanin. He's trying to make sense of this information to his audience.
Right.
Now, Berea, right? Once we go up to Berea, we reach the middle of the tree, smack dab in the middle of the tree, and that's beauty. Beauty is the product of love, okay? This is true love, this is your heart, this is all balance, right? This is the Christ. You could put Christ right here, you could put the sun right here. So Had would be Mercury. Mercury is in retrograde. And then Nexac, you should have the tree of life because I'm not slowing down. Nexac is Venus, right? And then Libra kind of reaches out through Venus and heads towards Mercury in a sense, right? So beauty is peace. Everything in the middle pillar is peace. If you read the Bahir, peace is the ultimate goal of your life as a human. Not to be God, not to be infinity, not to figure out the earth, the world, the human world, not to even figure out God's domain, right? Your focus is balance. This is raw, pure balance that allows you to go forward, go backwards, be present, do anything. It's that Christ energy. There's an affirmation you could say, I am the radiant child of God. Or Christ. Doesn't matter. I'm the radiant child of God. You know what I mean? I am the Christ mind. Now, I'm not going to give y'all that book yet until it becomes very relevant. And I don't even remember the full affirmation, but essentially you repeat something like, I am the radiant child of God. I am the Christ mind in all affairs. At first it's going to feel good for a few days, a few hours maybe, right? And then,
a little tiresome.
And then at some point, the intrusive thoughts going to come around. Your ego's going to be like, look at you, you idiot.
Right.
Ain't nobody else saying that shit in their head. You know what I mean? And then you're going to say, I am the radiant child of God. And if you're new to this, you might at some point be like, I'm the evil child of the devil. Like your subconscious mind's going to be like, what about the devil, man? You're going to just abandon the devil. A lot of spiritual people, they try and be so evil when they start off that they're going to have them type of thoughts, right? We're going to get into like darkness later, but let's focus on the Kabbalah, right? This is God. The middle of the tree, it's all about balance, it's all about peace, right? So if you're learning about something, right, I could feel the peace. If you're at peace, I could feel that. You know what I mean? Even if you're angry, you know what I mean? Your goal is to balance Ma'at, to serve Ma'at, right?
What's Ma'at for the people?
Ma'at is balance. She is justice. Let me see. Because I like using this. Let me just look up the Google definition.
Wouldn't it also be like the essence of like divine order?
Yeah, so Ma'at is the ancient goddess of justice, truth, order, and harmony, right? So when you're doing something, ask yourself, as Lilia Africa says, how does this conversation intend to serve Ma'at? And if it doesn't, release it. And then you could say something simple as, I am the Christ mind. And that will lead you to Christ-like thoughts, right? So whether you think Jesus was white, black, Korean, if he was real or not, or if there was a fake one from Rome, how does that apply to you and your life?
I think the world now is just so materialistic in a way, not in a way of just buying shit and all that, but the only way they can perceive things is what is like they can feel, and that is like only a part of it though. Like there's like when we talk about Christ, talk about the highest ideal of what you believe. Like it could be Christ, it could be shit, it could be Muhammad. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Whoever. Like this ideal, this way of being. It's not really them in their flesh.
Yeah.
It's about what it is they're doing and how that reflects back what you believe you should be doing.
Yes, and the thing is, if you don't believe in Jesus, you might have trauma, and this isn't going to be easy for you if you left the church to appreciate Jesus, to say all of this Jesus stuff, right?
That's what makes all this harder too, is trauma too.
Yeah. So you could create your own pantheon, preferably dead people. It could be Muhammad Ali represents the sun to you, right? And then Joe Frazier represents the moon. You know what I mean? As long as it makes sense to you and you're able to grow from it, go at it, man. Nobody really gives a fuck about what you think.
And a lot of that happens subconsciously anyway. Like when we're kids and we see like LeBron fucking doing crazy shit on the court, like this is God, bro.
This God to you, yeah.
This is the pinnacle.
Yeah, you a 5-year-old black kid, you on the court, you know what I mean? You learn about basketball, or you 13 or whatever, and basketball is really important in middle school, you know? So you're like, fuck it, it's not 2012 anymore. You could be like, oh, I'm 2012 Bron right now. Write down everything you know about 2012 Bron, everything that you admire, right? And then even write down some of the ailments, right? Because each of these Sephiroth, none of them are God. but they represent God in this place. So each of them has a dark side to them, right? Or too much of a good thing becomes bad type thing, right?
Yeah.
So Bron wasn't really shooting his free throws like Jose Calderon back then, right? You could be like, okay, I'm 2012 Bron, right? Right when it comes to free throws, slow down on the 2012 Bron. Maybe you want to be Steph Curry. 2015, he's still alive. He's still in the league, so you got to be specific. 2015 Steph Curry, you know what I mean? The specific season, get specific with your imagination, because all you really know is your imagination. That rules way beyond your intellect and even your intuition. It has to be quiet. It has to be subtle. It's not just wearing a kufi. That's not the end-all be-all. It's not just putting your Jordans on, right? It's not just wearing these crystals, right? Now, that's beauty, right? Dark side of beauty would be, as you mentioned yesterday, the dualism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could pick a figure of history that you appreciate and say every bad thing about them and destroy them. You know what I mean? So Bobby Hemmett was a learned man from the 60s who probably grew up seeing Martin Luther King as an idol, right? It's the 60s, right? You believe in this fully, right? And this is impactful to you and everyone around you. And in the 90s, he's one of his first lectures, I think this was 94 maybe, he's like, starts it off. Yeah, Martin Luther King was a government agent. He was, right? But if you don't know history about the civil rights movement and the Nuwabians even, right? The 5%ers, the NAACP, the United, whatever Malcolm X created after the Nation of Islam, you're not in the position to say Martin Luther King was an agent. Right? Because you don't have the information, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the experience to say that, right? So above beauty is the quasi-Sephiroth, which is knowledge, right? AKA death, the doorway to the cliff off, the dark world, right? And you can look these words up. I'm not your teacher. I'm not in university. This isn't university. I want you to go home and study and meditate on this. Buy a book. This is who I'm talking to. I'm not talking to people who want to put clips on Instagram. Cute little clips on Instagram. Now, the reason I'm not going to go into knowledge right now because I want to stay on beauty, right? That ultimate figure of illumination, right? This is really as far as you're going to go in Berea. Just you're going to tap Berea a little bit. Now, of course, that rabbi, Yom Tov Glosser, he said, you know, there's a few books on that, on a few people he can name who was really tapped into Berea, right? That third world. And he recommended a book in the video of a dude. I looked at the book. I'm like, yeah, he's right. You know, he said, he was like, I can't even understand that, right? So you got to be Berea for yourself. You're not going to share that level of understanding with nobody else.
It's a personal.
It's completely personal. And that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal of all of this. It's completely personal. And you just gotta get comfortable just being personal with it. Because Bobby Hemmett, he was talking shit about Khalid Muhammad, right? And there's videos of Khalid Muhammad talking shit about Bobby Hemmett. And then you listen to enough Bobby Hemmett videos, he's talking about hanging out with Khalid Muhammad. He's like, yeah, it's casual, like, yeah, so I was hanging out with Khalid Muhammad. Yeah, I was hanging out with Khalid Muhammad and the brother Dawood went to go get crack and I was in the car with him. Yeah. It's like, you know what I mean? So that's black people. That's what black people do. We talk shit. We be some haters. We be hating on niggas. Right? My man Dave Nigerian. I'm black American. You know niggas talk shit. It's all love. It's who loves each other and who don't. Because there's a lot of people saying some loving stuff that don't really love each other themselves. So so it's not really, you know, it ain't reached them higher levels, you know? So that's beauty, right? That's the ultimate reconciliation of love, right? So now I'm not gonna go to the left side of the tree. I'm not gonna go to strength yet. I'm gonna go to Hassad, right? Hassad is usually where I try and meditate towards, because you could really just bounce anywhere. In meditation, you could bounce anywhere from there. You just go anywhere quickly. You never really fully understand it concretely, so it's good to just meditate upon it because this is compassion. Now, if you read the Quran, before the surah starts, it says, praise to Allah, most compassionate, most merciful, or most gracious, most merciful. Basically, this is that energy, most compassionate. This is love as an action. This is the ultimate level of love right here. This is the highest form of love, right? You just passed from understanding Bina from the top left, right? You passed through knowledge, right? Knowledge really is what feeds the tree, right? And now we're at love, Hasad, right? Mercy. This is you looking at your cousin who might be on crack and having love for them, maybe talking to them, having a conversation, getting some understanding for yourself, and being at peace with your family, your friends, yourself, your government, your culture, your history, your house, right? All compassionate.
You say it's like similar to like acceptance in a way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Total acceptance. Allah, most gracious, most merciful. And you must read that, take that into consideration when you go into these surahs, because you're like, oh, Allah did all this to the disbelievers. Oh, you gotta remember, he's most gracious, most merciful though. You know what I mean? But he did all that to the disbelievers. The disbeliever is when you go into the cliff off and then you start to get into separation. That's the disbelief.
So perhaps they did it to themselves.
Yeah, and
Allah
then
is the agent.
Yeah.
Not just delivering that.
And remember, this is all about you. So you might have cells. Your body produces one cell a day that has the potential to be cancer. Think of that cell and the fact that your body kills that cell every day. That's the process of spirituality. You don't want the most cells in your body. You want the good cells of health. You know what I mean? That are breathing well, that are, processing things the right way. You know what I mean? So that's that love. You know what I mean? When if you really want to hear some love, listen to Julian Lage got an album called Hasad, actually. It's really nice. If you're into like all the music with the 808s and stuff and the trap drums and the stuff like that, I'm into it too. I love hip hop, but listening to jazz, Julian Lage's music, you would listen to that album and then consider where this came from and how I can appreciate this album.
Yeah.
It may be against anything you even think of what jazz is, but it's really what everyone who packages their music up as jazz tries to be. Now, this is ultimate compassion. So you could say you love jazz, right? You could, a lot of black people don't really listen to jazz, but they might be on the internet or they might find some white people to argue with who started jazz. Like jazz isn't a misnomer, right? So you begin to have this compassion and say, okay, Julian Lage is a white man. He's playing jazz music? Oh, you don't think first, I'd rather listen to Grant Green because he's black and he did this, right? I like Julian Lage better than Grant Green. I'm going to say, I think Grant Green is a little boring. I appreciate his music when it plays. I think he's one of the greats. I prefer Julian Lage. Am I a bad person because I like a white man?
Betraying your people.
You're betraying your people. That doesn't make sense. You're wearing a kufi, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the compassion to say, if I really love jazz, first of all, understand how jazz is kind of a word we shouldn't even be using at all, because those were the clubs where prostitutes would go to, and the music we be playing, they'd be like, let me get some of that jazz, right? So do you really want some jazz? You really on that right now, right? That's jazz. Once again, I'm gonna say this also, right? I'm gonna get into this. I seen a video some girl reposted. It was about the ballroom scene, and some dude was trying to argue that ballroom was hip hop, like the drag queen show and stuff.
Yeah, what are you calling them?
Yeah, like bop, bop. You know how they voguing and all that, right? And I'm like, okay, you're putting all of this intellect into it, right? But if hip hop is so homophobic, why would you want to be hip hop? If to you, all the rappers are, if the rappers are selling drugs to the community, killing each other, why are you trying to be so hard to be hip hop? Why are you trying hard to be hip hop? Now, this is where the action of love comes in, and you saying, I have my own thing, I have my own culture, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at hip hop because it sells records and stuff as the thing to be. Now, all of these, a lot of rappers are broke. A lot of ballroom dancers are broke. Y'all in the same family. Y'all grew up in the same. Y'all got the same genes, basically. Y'all just hang out in different clubs. So just the simple understanding that one thing could be one thing and another thing could be another thing can be beautiful. That's not hate. You don't need to fit in with nobody. I know. And then there's someone who was like on Twitter, oh, D'Angelo's not even an R&B artist. He's a blues and a jazz artist, actually. Well, it's called rhythm and blues, and it's from the same country, same people, and if anything, you would call D'Angelo a gospel artist. You know what I mean? So you try so hard to understand something that it becomes, you start to show your hate for things.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing it all as music and all as, you know what I mean? When I step in this space, I respect what's going on. When I step in that space, I respect what's going on. And understanding that you may have a foundation and you might see other things through that lens of your foundation. But that foundation, that lens, you must understand that that's just one perspective.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make D'Angelo's music more worthy if it's a different genre other than R&B. You can appreciate R&B for what it is. It is R&B. And I guess the 2014 album, Black Messiah, is kind of rock. At the end of the day, it's just music, man. Gary Bartz, he's a jazz musician. He says, I listen to Frank Sinatra every day. The most black
Frank
jazz.
Sinatra's kind of hard.
Right? I love Frank Sinatra, right?
He's nice.
Right? Yeah, but like, someone probably would expect him to say some crazy jazz artist who be, you know what I mean? But no, he's like, I listen to Frank Sinatra every day. That's love. That's that total acceptance of, and it starts with yourself. How does your chest feel? How does your left shoulder feel? Now, this can become possessiveness. This is the evil side of it. Possessiveness, you know what I mean? Calling up a chick 50 times a day that you met 3 weeks ago. You know what I mean? Not letting people live their life, giving advice too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Save the babies, trying to save the babies too much, right? That's where
you're not allowing things. You're not really fully allowing things or accepting things and being tolerant of how things are.
Yes.
What they are.
Yes.
Because we need that.
Yes.
I think there's a certain amount of separation that is necessary for progress or movement in general. Like, there's this idea, I think, of this like singularity. Or I think there's a difference between like the singularity and like solidarity. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I think like if we try to become too much like
Yeah, so it recorded all of that. All right, so go ahead, Dave.
So yeah, I was just talking about this. It has to do with this idea of like the distinction, you know, because when we try to be like, if we try to be anything outside of ourselves or try to be like others or project ourselves onto others, what's the end goal of that? We're all one idea, and we're all one thing. Like we're all this oneness, right? There's no more movement. There's no more progression after that.
Yeah.
What's the end state of that? It's something similar to death.
Yeah, and that's the Kabbalistic view, the Caliphic view of the Kabbalah, basically. Mm-hmm. So they see the ultimate unification as death.
Yeah.
And once you reach that ultimate unification, the world must keep going. Somebody's going to fight somebody. Somebody's not going to like this. Somebody's going to want more. So that's the active principle. So we get back to the left side of the tree. Now, people refer to this, right? If you just studying Kabbalah, not the cliff off or whatever, this is going to be the symbol of evil for you. And this is strength. So on the feminine side, strength, power, severity. This is where all of that love, all of that true acceptance, all of that, everything's everything. That's when you start to form things. That's when you start to set boundaries. You know what I mean? Set boundaries. Okay, I can't watch every movie that came out. I can't read every book from every pro-black scholar ever. I can't watch every Bobby Hemmett video. I'm going to use what I have, and I'm going to be satisfied with it. This is forming all of that love into being beauty.
Yeah.
The ultimate balance of the tree. So
it's like how they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? It's like beauty. I mean, there has to be this level of definition.
Yeah.
Be defined in what you are, and it's like you're almost like you're everything that you're not. That's like the idea of the boundary. Because if you don't have those boundaries, then you can just become everything, the potentiality of everything. But that's going to be the infinite potentiality of God within a finite body is going to have that tension.
Yeah.
And in some ways, it's almost as if you're a potential. This is where you get the idea of like you're an aspect. Each person is like an aspect of God.
Yeah.
You're like a spark. You're a potentiality.
Yeah.
And you have to be that though. You can try to be everything in one, but you're gonna
be objectified.
Yeah.
You're gonna become gross.
Yeah.
You're gonna become matter. You're gonna be solidified.
Exactly.
So, this strength is.
You are. Like,
damn, you said you had a good point, man.
You're almost like you're everything that you're not. That's like the idea of the boundary. Because if you don't have those boundaries, then you can just become everything, the potentiality of everything. But that's going to be the infinite potentiality of God within a finite body. You're gonna have that tension.
Yeah.
And in some ways, it's almost as if you're a potential. This is where you get the idea of like you're an aspect. Each person is like an aspect of God. Where you're like a spark. You're a potentiality.
Yeah.
And you have to be that though. You can try to be everything in one, but you're gonna
be objectified. You're gonna become gross.
Yeah.
You're gonna become matter. You're gonna be solidified.
Exactly.
So, this strength is. Damn, you said you had a good point, man.
Hey, man.
This is somewhat discrimination.
Yeah.
And why did it stop recording again? Let me save this. Shit is pop locked. I'm recording on the phone too.
Okay. It's like both at the same time.
Alright, I'm gonna go over here. Okay, so essentially the negative side of this becomes bigotry.
Yeah.
Right? On a cliff off, you go too. Why is it doing that? I think it's overheating. Oh, alright. This keeps coming out. Okay. Alright. Mic check. Alright, so the cliphotic side of this is bigotry. You know what I mean? And this is what I'm saying. Think about all the conscious people, any spiritual person you know, right? Think of a man, right, who's conscious. What do people say about the more masculine conscious people, the more conservative conscious people? They're more bigots. They're more, we can't be doing this. You know what I mean? And how do you think about the more feminine conscious people?
Oh, they're like all like
everything and everything's everything and accepting and fairies and so when we get into the studying, we start to see that everything is backwards. You know what I mean? These people, like, this is why it helps to read a lot. To really actually know what it is that you believe in, instead of trusting a TikTok or a collection of TikToks.
A lot of people aren't grounded in their beliefs. Like they believe what feels good to them, which has some value. Obviously, you don't want to be doing something you don't like, but at the same time, you have to go beyond that, and you have to really understand what you're positing, the way you act, and like why you act like that. Like you have to know about like your position for real.
Yeah, like it requires discipline to reach your highest level of pleasure. Like if you were to be satisfied with pleasure at the formation at the bottom of the tree, and you just focus on pleasure, eventually you're just going to be confused because you're just chasing it everywhere. You know what I mean? Just doing everything. You know what I mean? Remember that scene in Malcolm X where he goes up to Shorty, Spike Lee's character, he's like, we was fucking white women. Right? He's doing everything, right? Just to chase that pleasure, right? And this is like why this Sephiroth is important. This strength aspect, this, you know. Now, I have a good, let me go back up the tree. Let me keep going up. Let's keep going. So we have knowledge, that's the doorway. You probably understand it by now just from what I've been saying. Knowledge, that's the doorway to the unknown, right? So everything below knowledge is Berea, Yetada, Asiya, right? Knowledge is a quasi-Sephiroth, it's number 11. If you look at the tree, it has dashes, right? It is that unknown that really feeds the tree. So it's not like you ever want more love. It's accepting the love that's there. It's accepting your power that you have. Saying I am power instead of, all right, I have some power. Let me get some more power. Let me go to the store and get some power. Nah, you just more meditation and stability, being stable in your power and being sure in your power, being sure of the beauty of yourself and those around you.
It's like a state of being.
Yes.
More so than something you can go out and take or grasp and have it like that.
Yeah. So even knowledge, they say that's the only thing you should be chasing. Because the Quran says, or not even the Quran, someone said this. It's Quranic thought. But if you take one step towards Allah, He would take 2 steps towards you. So that basically means you wouldn't even be able to chase God because God would be right there 2 steps ahead of you. You know what I'm saying? A step ahead of you. Right? So you chase knowledge. There's more information and you believe that I am love, I am God, I am beauty, I am wisdom. Then it just figures itself out.
Because perhaps God is not like this person you're chasing or this thing. Because when you think of God as a person or a being, it's something that can be touched, so grasped and held, or like something you can interact with in that way. So when you say that, it's as if he's running away from you, but it's more so like maybe it's the ideal of the essence of what's the word of the divine, and it's really the process of chasing that which changes you, transforms you in a way like you have no choice but to do that. You know, like it's you do have a choice, but it's the actualization of like your being that needs that.
Yeah, because you got a choice to eat food. You got a choice to drink water.
It's all a choice, obviously.
Right? So you got to think, I'm so powerful in God like that I'm not going to drink water. What's the point?
It's like, that's like too much of it. That's like where you're not balanced now.
Because you could be doing that and you still have thoughts about yourself like, I never do shit right. Oh, fuck, it's this person again. My fucking sister, my brother, you know what I mean? Or, oh, the Lakers lost, I'm depressed. You know what I mean? All of these negative self-talk, you know what I mean? But you're so holy that you're never grounded. That's why Malkuth can be disregarded, you know what I mean? It's not like, I become spiritual, so I can't become fresh no more. I can't get fresh no more. No, it's like your awareness, your wisdom should actually help you get more fresh, you know, with less money perhaps, you know, where it aligns with what you really want, you know what I mean? Not what society told you, what your friend told you, what your girlfriend wants you to wear. Nah. That's why we get into wisdom, which is on the right side of the tree, right? Wisdom is really the first relevant Sephirah. Now, some people think Berea ends here. I like to think of the upper trinity all as absolute.
Forgot about absolute, yeah.
Right, and I'm gonna also change my definition of what feeds the tree in a bit, because we're gonna get into the Ein Sof R.
Yeah.
People go, I thought you thought knowledge feeds the tree. I'll explain that either today, later, or call me, right? But the Ein Sof Or, that's the limitless light of God, and there's 3 levels of it basically. But just think of the limitless God, the no thing. So anything, any form that you know can't be God. Even using the word God,
it's blasphemy.
Yeah.
Just even trying to describe it.
Yeah.
Because it's outside of this. Yeah, it's outside.
Second, you have a word. Genesis. What's the first? In the beginning. The first word of God. Boom. No more God after that.
Yeah.
You got the word. That first word is where everything comes from. In the beginning.
Bereshit.
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 No, you pronounce it right. I didn't pronounce it. Right? So, Aleph. Let me get this right. Aleph is that first. Bet is that first word.
No, Aleph. It's Aleph.
Aleph, Bet,
Dalet,
Gimel. Yes, that's the order of the alphabet. But the Aleph, the Bet, in a sense, represents the containment of the Aleph.
Yeah.
Let me get this right. Hokmah represents.
Because this shit really get down to even the level of the letters, and then
what they mean.
It's really there's deeper meanings in everything. Like even the letters have meaning themselves. That's why language is so special, or in language, because it's circular. Like the words can describe each other, so it's like a circle in a way. All these things that are circular are special because you can't really explain them. There's no point. Which you can explain them, and that's like. Those are like, in ways, representations of God, you know? Like, you just can't, with your human mind, like, you just can't. You just know. That's what it is. Like, even numbers are like that, too. Like, they represent things, but, like, we can't really explain why they do that. It just like, things, it's patterns in nature that are just the way they are, you know? So.
Yeah. So I guess I gotta brush up on my Hebrew letters and how they relate to each Sephirah.
Aleph. I think it's Aleph.
I know the order is different.
I was watching a lot of A Rashid, so I was like damn near confused for like a little while. But it's like Aleph, Bet, Dalet, Gimel,
Zayin. He said, if you don't know the alphabet, you're not a student.
Man.
Yod, Hod.
That Yod, though, is important, right? Yod, I know Yod is the 10th.
Let's get back on track.
All right.
All right. So basically, Hokmah is the first Sephirah where things become actual. Yeah. The first Sephirah, right now, we're going to go with that represents A, Aleph, the first letter of the alphabet. Right, that must be contained by Bet, which is B, Hokmah, right? The second Sephirah, right? And that contains everything of the will. So the will is so quiet. This is why some consider the will to just be absolute by itself, because it is so silent that it's beyond wisdom, right? So they ask, do we have free will, right? Well, that's something to approach. But you have will in general, and that's what's relevant, right? Because if you don't have wisdom, what's the use of your will, you know? I know Catherine Ponder says in her books, she tells us that, your understanding is more important than the will, even though it's beneath the will, because it controls it in a sense, you know what I mean? So, wisdom, you could think of it like a stream, undefined stream or a lake. You have infinite amount of water, right?
Yeah.
But what good is that water without a container? You just have an unrunning faucet with a laminar flow, right? All consistent, right? And what are you going to do without it, without a vessel?
Yeah.
Right? And it's funny because in the Bahir, they say that Hokmah is the first daughter, which is masculine. Again, Hokmah is the first daughter, the original daughter of God, because they're all receiving of the will of God. And Malkuth is the last daughter. So we're all feminine beings. Not because you're a man and you wear hoop earrings.
Because we receive.
Yes, because we receive all of the light of God. We receive as much as we can, and we understand it and we process it. Right? Mm-hmm. And then they say that the limitless light of God, the all furthest thing, is truly beyond gender. But if you were to think of it as one, it would be feminine. Mm-hmm. Because it's the all nothingness. Like a hole, like a deep hole.
Too?
Yeah, like the womb where things come out of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the masculine really is just an aspect of the feminine, the active side of the feminine. The vessel is what's important. That's why Bina is that active principle which balances wisdom, the understanding, because it is that original vessel for the receiver of God in a sense. So you think of a daughter creates that feminine principle. So, you know, people don't like the church and they're going to say, oh, well, it's so patriarchal because Adam, the first man, and a woman came from the man. No, Adam was androgynous. He was by himself, completely androgynous. He became a man after Eve was Adam.
He had no reason to have anything after, before that, because there was no. That's not how he was first created.
Yes.
In that story, because there's two creation accounts.
Yes.
So there's also an account where Adam and Eve, or the two principles, were made together. Mm-hmm. That's the. Damn, I should have brought my Bible.
Yeah.
I should have brought. Wait, I have the app. Hold on.
And then they got parallel myths. You read a book like Parallel Myths, and they have like 50 creation stories in that one book. Like there's a man, he was deserted on an island, so he created there was two men on the island and I think one woman, right? Mm-hmm. So then one man found the woman and the other man, he created a woman, right?
Which myth is this?
I don't know, it's in Parallel Myths. There's like 80,000 creation myths, right?
There is, yeah.
So the guy who had the wife, right? The guy wanted the other wife. And then, ultimately, the statue of a wife that the one man created that became alive. And the man who was with the woman originally married that one, and the man who created the statue married the original woman. And then they created civilization from there. So read as many creation stories as you want.
Yeah, because the essence of it is beyond beyond the physical. There's more to it than the physical. You have to really understand, why would this be written? What is the action telling me? Or what is the actual thing that's happening? What does it represent?
And how is it relevant to these people?
That's how you have to. That's the allegorical interpretation. Yeah. That's how you go a little deeper than the literal. There's more after that too. There's different ways, and that correlates to the worlds we were talking about too.
Yeah. So, that's a good amount on Kabbalah. I think that's the end of the main portion of this.
We're going
to ramble on for a couple minutes.
Okay.
So don't expect nothing absolute after this. We're just going to ramble on. And it's going to be like pure noise to you. And it's going to be just pure information. You find something, use Google.
You know what I mean? Google or YouTube, which is an extension of Google. But so the first account in Genesis was actually a later account. Mm-hmm. But I think it's the account that has the most. Like, they were on some shit when they did it, because they meant it to be like more deeper understood. If you look at the first chapter versus chapter 2 to 3, mm-hmm. the first account is way more is way more symbolic, whereas the second account is the one where it has like Adam and Eve, and then it has the second. I think they work together because it's the first account is more so the creation and the goodness of it. You see, every single time he creates something, he's like, oh, and it was good, like it's all good. But this is what the highest has ordained as like what should be. And then in the second account, it's the creation and it's the material. Like it's more material. It's about, oh, this river here in Eden, right? And then it's more so describing the creation, or not the creation, but the fall of men. Like so, it's like the good and the evil in a way of like that's how they balance each other. But when you look at the first one, like even it's in the beginning, right? God created heavens and the earth. What do you mean by that, right? So hold on, because like when you say he created heavens and earth, right? What do you mean by heavens and earth? Because it could just mean he created pure matter, like pure potential matter, like, and then his creation or matter of fact, before you can even create something, you have to come into the awareness, and you have to have this like. You have to also have some level of reasoning to know I should create versus not create. So this is like a lot in one sentence, or one like, what do you mean in the beginning?
Let me read it.
You know?
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void. And the darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters.
So boom, Spirit.
The heavens, Kabbalistically, represent the middle six Sephirah.
Okay.
Right? The six Sephirah above Malkuth. The ones that are Yeterah and Berea. Right? That's the heaven. Right? Those two middle worlds right there is the Zer and Pin, which is the heavens. So God created the heavens and the earth. This is why I consider that top level absolute, because that gives way to the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, right? The void, that's feminine. That means that the earth was a vessel for God's light. And to get more specific, they say that light is formed out of God's essence.
Yeah.
And the Zohar is the perspective of God as man, right? So we're not interacting with God one-to-one. We are receiving the light from his essence. And the darkness is created.
So it's light. The beginning is actually light. Like or is it just light? It's light so, or is it one of those things where it's light that's so bright that it's like
God doesn't know the difference between light and dark. God is God.
Yeah, for sure.
We perceive light as light and dark as dark. But even if we look at that shadow right there, we can still see the sand in that shadow, correct? But that's dark. That's the dark part of the beach, right?
Yeah.
So I'm still, that page of the Bahir, man, still is on my mind, and I'm still considering it all the time because so much information is in that one page.
So you know what I've been thinking though with this, I think this is the first. The highest of the highs. There's we don't know why, but there's a will to do something. So you think of God as this highest, or this nothingness, no thing, like it's above being, above thingness, decides to now create things and beings in a way, it actually makes God, this imperceivable thing, somewhat perceivable. In a way.
What?
Like
earth?
the ideal of him. Not the
Yes,
full essence
yes,
of him, but
yes.
the idea of him becomes a reality through the creation of other things.
Yes.
That distinction that now allows that to happen. So in a way, this is how some people, they get to the point where they say consciousness is God itself, but
Yes.
it's not.
Oh.
I don't think it is. Not because there's a thing before the consciousness, but then it then creates the consciousness to then shine, to then create the distinction to create itself in a way, not create itself, but make itself known.
So they say that.
So hold on, let me
Go ahead.
I just want to say, so when I think about this, I think this is the heavens and the earth. The earth, it happens. It's together in a way that it's the potential and the actual. Like the potential being the thought, the mental realm, and then it's the physical realm, and how they both interact together. It happens in one action.
Oh.
Like it happens in one action. This
So
action.
basically on top of each other.
It's one thing.
It's unified.
It's unified. It
Yes.
is. It is, because you can't fully, like, if we could have our ability. So this is where, like, maybe, I don't know if it's just the hubris of the human, but like there's a difference between a human and a monkey. And I think there's just higher realms of the mental that are accessed, the full potentiality of the mental realm and understanding that are accessed versus a monkey or ant.
So I've been thinking about this because people say that animals are naturally living in Islam, naturally Islamic, living through the will of Allah.
Yeah.
They don't have the consciousness to be good or bad.
Yeah.
I've been considering that, and one thing I'm starting to use is that monkeys have their own.
Yeah.
Either way, they will have their own framework that is completely incomprehensible to a human.
Yeah. We don't even know. Them niggas be spitting the highest
In the
science.
craziest shit. Yo,
Like, even if you look at the way that the ants and bees interact and all these things, are we so sure that these aren't like higher?
they have their own thing. It don't gotta be higher or lower. It's just their own thing.
It's their own thing that we can't really comprehend.
You ever walk up to a group of birds and they just start flying away in unison? And you think you can't even organize a trip to Cancun with 5 of your best friends?
Yeah. So it's like, maybe it's just man's ego that's gotten them to the level to where it believes it's this higher.
Yeah, you don't have to be higher than that.
Yeah, just
yourself. You have your higher of yourself. At the end of the day, you are alone in your consciousness. Also, Phil Valentine mentioned they had monkeys on one beach washing their kids one way or scratching their ass one way or doing something, right? And that was some new shit, some new monkey technology. And on a beach, on the other side, on another island, started doing the same thing once they started doing that. No contact, no communication.
Yeah.
So, of course, when you're watching Love Island all the time, you're like, what? Telepathy, telecommunication? That don't make sense. I got a phone. Nah, like, you have to rethink things outside of what you know.
Yeah. Like, what if they're communicating on like this universal consciousness level that we don't have, or maybe we don't have access to anymore?
Yeah.
Like the way, there's a lot of ways that they communicate, and it's not speech. Like, it's not how we speak. You know, it's like more. It's more on like a vibrational level sometimes too. Like, you know, like it's really interesting.
Yeah, and
But I think to land though, like.
Yeah, let's land before 12 a.m.
Yeah, like just to land, it's like there's also this idea later in the creation story that the man, because we can see man is different from everything else. And this is why we say that man is created in God's image, because that's how we can understand why we are different to all creation. And perhaps it is hubris to say that the man is like rules over, because even in the Bible it says like man was given by God was given the right to rule over the world, basically. So perhaps that is just our rationalization for like the faculties we have that other things in creation don't.
Yeah.
You know, to make sense of things.
Yeah.
Because we can only assume. We only know what we know as humans, and so.
And it's kind of like probably maybe even a jealousy of other animals, like looking at them and seeing how they just operate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have all of these things to believe in and things to buy and taxes.
Right.
That there's a jealousy that, especially in the tri-state area, like it's not natural at all the way that we're living. But it is natural because we are humans, and if our brain thinks of it, it becomes natural, whether you like it or not. This is how people live in this environment. This is how people live in that environment. You know what I mean? This is humans. There's no outside entity influencing us to build skyscrapers. Now, skyscrapers, you could go look at it two ways. Like, okay, there's not a pyramid though. You can't build no pyramid. Then you could also say, well, maybe those people were doing the best that they could with what they had and how they saw the world.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
you get so
facts.
caught up in the white man and Canada. Niggas already did that, man, in the 70s, man, in the 60s and stuff.
Yeah, that's not new shit.
Like they got niggas on BLM and NAACP and stuff. Like
It's not new shit at all.
this is like, is it really? Does it make sense for CNN to sell us a revolution? I know I always come back to this, but if you're black and you're trying to dismantle white supremacy within yourself, this is the question you have to face. You know, in what ways do I feed something which doesn't serve me? In which ways am I dependent on ideas in which I would never be able to reach my highest good through?
Yeah.
So if you're not even practicing the sex of your culture, the education of your culture, them 11 categories that Frances Cress Welsing had in her book, then how do you expect to truly be free if you're always chasing a copy of a being which is lesser than you?
Right.
Not lesser, but I'm saying anybody else who isn't you,
It's lesser in a way.
they're not going to be able to give you your own values.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to give you your own body. Like, you're alone. Like, nobody's out to get you. They're just doing their thing. Start doing your thing. Start being comfortable, man. They don't care about... People don't care about you specifically as an individual.
Yeah.
If you want to be a community, well, you better have something to bring to the community. I was at Donut Lounge, and I didn't plan to do a set there. I didn't plan to do a 5-minute set there. But I was ready because of all of the work that I did by myself, alone in my room. And in those underground hip-hop circles, I was prepared to not even have to prepare for something like that, really. You get what I'm saying? I could just show up and serve the community by being myself. If you're not being yourself, you're never going to be a 3 people at once. You have your own individualized consciousness, which realizes itself through what it is not. So anyone you look at, even your hands, your brain, your ego, you're observing that.
And I think it's just harder. It's just harder these days to really have that communion with yourself and just to sit with yourself, because there's so many. We were talking about this yesterday, but there's so many ways to be distracted. There's so many things to steal your attention. People will call them vampires, people will call them demons, but they're really just other people's thought forms, and you don't
Other
have
people's
the,
imagination.
Yes, you don't have the boundaries or the value. You have to. It first starts with the values.
Yes.
Right? What your values are, those are your first boundaries, and then from there, you interact everything through that.
Yes.
Whether it be a system, a religious system, whether it be a philosophy, or whether you sit yourself and it's just the shit that you just are not. This is the shit that it has to be. It has to be within this framework, whether it be like a square or a 5, like whatever amount, but it has to be that. And once you have that, then you can then you can interact with things with a certain framework. It really is just the lens in which you're interacting with the experiential.
Yeah.
That can help you to further define yourself. Because remember, we were talking back, for the people who were listening, for us talking earlier, we were talking about I was talking about the definition and how important the definition is within yourself. Because the further defined you are within yourself, and acceptance of that, you can accept what's not within you.
Yes, what's out of your control.
Out of your control, who's not really thinking like you, who's not like you. You can find appreciation for that, which is not like you.
Yeah, like for example, I had to get really real with myself, and I'm like, okay, who am I compared to other black people, right? I say, okay, I'm from Cliffwood, right, which is kind of, majority white kind of.
Yeah.
The section I lived in was more ethnic and black, when I was growing up at first. And then I moved to another side of town, which is still not white, not really black, still kind of ethnic, right?
Yeah.
And then I went to school in North, 30 minutes away. My parents were social workers, right? I went to an all-black private school for my beginning years of learning. I even went to NJIT to take classes at like 5.
Oh, hold on.
And then I went to the local public school, which is majority white. Some of the kids have no knowledge of self, which is okay, but that's the truth. Right? And then I was raised in that all through high school. Then I go to Rutgers Camden, which is a small school, like quarter black, quarter Asian, quarter white, quarter Hispanic, right? That has its own culture. And then I go to Rutgers, New Brunswick, where I'm the only black kid in some of my engineering classes. I'm in engineering school, right? You gotta be mindful of how your perspective is shaped by your experiences.
Yeah.
At some point you ask, okay, did this person, when they were in college, did they go to the library and look at books of other subjects? Maybe not. Maybe they spent that time in different countries, like Asian countries, and maybe they got their knowledge from that.
Yeah.
Maybe they got their knowledge from Netflix movies, It's not gooder or badder. Once you reach a certain age, you have the experience of living up to that age. So even, doesn't matter if someone's older than you, been on the planet longer than you, there's going to be a story or experience that you can learn from. And if someone's younger than you, there is a perspective or even an ignorance that you both could reach an understanding with, and you both can benefit from it. So, I had to just be very mindful of who I was and why I don't fit in on a one-to-one relationship with any particular group or community, but everywhere I go, I can find 2 or 3 people, one person even, that I really resonate with, regardless of what their identity tells them they are, their race, their nationality, their school, whatever. I could find an understanding.
Yeah. Because within every person, there's a reflection. Every person that you encounter reflects a part of yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
because you really see them through who you are.
Yeah. And depending on how aware you are yourself will depend on, or not even, you don't even have to be, if you're not, like, you're going to react a certain way based off how your trauma, your experiences, the repetition of the symbols of, like, there's just sometimes there's certain type of people who rub you a certain way.
Yeah.
Based off of that, that's how the unconscious is developed. And then from there, the conscious goes on top of that, and then there's also your persona to the world and like what people expect you to be, and all of that is happening at the same time.
Yeah, and the world doesn't stop. It's not like when you're coding and something makes no sense and it just doesn't run the program. Life is always running the program. It's always on go.
Yeah.
Time is always moving at the same pace forward.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, so it's 12 p.m.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing, you know.
I guess this is a good time to end it.
Yeah.
Let's use the aspect of Gebera and let's end this now. Should I give my email address? I'm gonna give my email address. I'm planning to put this everywhere. So if you got any questions, turkyoung246@gmail.com. I'm not gonna tell you how to spell it because if you think I would spell it YUNG, then you have low expectations of me and who I am. So yeah, turkyoung246@gmail.com. And
you find me where you find me, man.
Yeah. Alright.
Peace.
Yeah, I think that was good. Now before we even get up,
we have to like to like merge it together, right?
I recorded 3 tracks, right? So I could just drag this track right here to here. I have to unmute this, turn off the microphone. Now, let me just do the bare minimum real quick. Alright, save.
That was fun.
Normalize. Oh, I still got the phone going.
Oh shit.